Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. All eyes are locked on South Florida as the next big NFL domino might be ready to fall. Yes, we're talking about Jalen Ramsey. The star cornerback is still technically a Miami Dolphin for now. But let's be real, both sides seem ready to turn the page. It's not a matter of if he'll be traded, it's when, and that when might be coming up real fast. Veteran players are reporting to training camps on July 22nd, and according to Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated, that day could be the next big checkpoint to watch for a Ramsey deal. He's not just throwing darts. Breer believes a trade is most likely to happen right around the doorstep of training camp. Think of it like the final countdown, where the Dolphins don't want a distraction in camp and Ramsey doesn't want to pretend everything's good when it clearly isn't. The relationship between Ramsey and the Dolphins feels broken beyond repair. Breer even described it as trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. Good luck with that. Miami's front office probably wishes things hadn't soured, but at this point, it feels like everyone's just waiting for the right deal to pull the trigger. The issue, it's complicated. There's a lot of money involved, and when you're dealing with a $20 million salary cap hit, it's not like making a trade in your fantasy league, but there's still real momentum. Ramsey is just 30 years old and still playing at a high level. He's a former All-Pro, a Super Bowl champion, and one of the few true shutdown corners in the game. Somebody's going to want that kind of firepower in their secondary, especially a contender. Now, where does he want to go? That's where things get interesting. Adam Schefter from ESPN says Ramsey has his eye on the West Coast. Makes sense. Right, he's a California guy at heart. He already played in LA with the Rams. And if he had his way, it sounds like he'd love a reunion, but that's not as easy as it sounds. Rams head coach Sean McVay recently admitted that while the team has love for Ramsey, there are some big hurdles to clear. The biggest, that massive guaranteed salary. We're talking over $20 million. That's not pocket change, even for a team like the Rams. Add in that they'd have to give up a draft pick too, and suddenly the math starts to get tricky. Especially for a team that's juggling a bunch of rookie contracts that'll need extensions in the near future. But don't count the Rams out just yet. They know exactly what they'd be getting in Ramsey, a proven leader, an elite corner, and a player who already knows their system. That's rare. Most teams have to take a gamble when trading for talent. But the Rams already have the blueprint with him. The question is whether they're willing to bend financially. If they can negotiate a salary split with the Dolphins, maybe even get Miami to eat some of that cap hit, things could come together. It's a delicate dance. And Miami is in no rush to give away Ramsey for peanuts. They're still holding out for the right value, and they should. This is a top-tier player, not just a salary dump. Miami's front office has a few suitors lined up. It's not just the Rams. There are whispers of other teams sniffing around, especially those with cap space and a real need in the secondary. But again, it all comes down to how much of Ramsey's salary each team is willing to take on. And that's where negotiations are stuck right now. No one wants to pay full price. It's like going to the dealership and saying, yeah, that car is awesome, but I'm not paying sticker. Everyone's waiting for the other side to blink. The closer we get to July 22nd, the more pressure ramps up on Miami to make something happen. Ramsey's journey has been wild, to say the least. Drafted in the first round by the Jaguars in 2016, he quickly made a name for himself as one of the most vocal and talented corners in the league. He played hard, talked even harder, and backed it all up. Jacksonville picked up his fifth-year option in 2020, but before he could finish that season, they traded him to the Rams. It cost LA the first-round picks and a fourth. Pricey, absolutely, but he delivered. Ramsey helped anchor that defense and was a crucial part of the Rams' Super Bowl win. That's the kind of resume teams will pay for if the numbers make sense. And then came Miami. Ramsey signed a massive 5-year, $105 million extension with the Rams, but eventually landed with the Dolphins in a 2024 trade where he agreed to a 3-year, $70 to $0.3 million deal. At the time, it looked like a win for both sides. Miami got their lockdown corner, and Ramsey seemed hyped for a new chapter. But things change fast in the NFL. Injuries, locker room dynamics, coaching shifts, they all add up. And now here we are, talking about what feels like an inevitable breakup. Even with all that cash tied up, the Dolphins seem more than ready to move on. Let's not forget that Ramsey played last season and played well. He appeared in all 17 games for Miami, notching 60 tackles, 2 picks, a sack, and 11 passes defended. Those aren't just decent numbers, they're elite. He showed he's still a force to be reckoned with. He's not washed, he's not slowing down. And any team getting him now is getting a legitimate game changer. That's why this is more than just a cap move. For the right team, he could be the final piece of a Super Bowl puzzle. That's why so many eyes are locked in on this situation. Ramsey still moves the needle. So what's next? Well, unless something crazy happens, July 22nd is shaping up to be D-Day. Training camps bring deadlines. Teams want their roster set. Coaches don't want distractions. And Ramsey, he doesn't want to show up to a camp where he knows he's not really wanted. Both sides need closure. It's just a matter of who's going to make the first real move to get a deal done. Whether it's the Rams, another West Coast squad, or even a surprise dark horse. This saga is reaching its breaking point. The NFL is a business, but it's also theater. And right now, the curtain's about to rise on the next big act. Stay locked in, because the next few weeks could get wild. Jalen Ramsey's future is one of the biggest question marks in the league right now. Wherever he ends up, it's going to shake up the landscape guaranteed. Whether you love him, hate him, or just enjoy watching him talk trash and back it up, you can't deny his impact, so get your popcorn ready, because if training camp is the stage, Ramsey might be the star of the show, and trust me, we'll be here to break it all down the second it happens. Until then, keep your notifications on, because this story is far from over, still with us. Then show some love, hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on the Fins this week? Folks, we need to talk. There's a storm brewing in the NFL, and if the whispers are even half true, the AFC East is about to get turned completely upside down. You heard it right, rumors are swirling that TYREEK Hill, yes, that TYREEK Hill, could be on his way out of Miami, and where could he be heading? Buckle up, because the buzz right now is pointing straight to the New England Patriots. Let that sink in for a second. The fastest man in football, possibly suiting up in Foxborough. This isn't just another off-season fantasy. There are legit rumblings behind the scenes that things in Miami may not be as sunny as they appear. Some say there's been tension, others whisper about culture clashes. But what's loud and clear is that something big might be going down, and the Patriots could be ready to pounce. Now, let's not forget how explosive TYREEK Hill has been for the Dolphins. Since landing in South Beach, he didn't just bring speed, he brought swagger, energy, and game-breaking plays that made Miami must-watch football every Sunday. But behind all that flash, we've seen hints, little cracks suggesting not everything's been perfect. From cryptic tweets to sideline frustrations, there's been an undercurrent of unease. Add to that the Dolphins' struggles in big games, and the uncertainty surrounding Tua Tagovailoa's long-term health, and you start to see why a move, while shocking, isn't totally out of the question. Sources close to the team suggest Hill hasn't been as locked in this offseason. Could that be smoke pointing to a fire? Maybe. And where there's smoke, the Patriots often find a way to turn it into gold. Think about this. The Patriots have been desperate for a game changer at wide receiver. Ever since the days of Randy Moss, they've tried drafting, signing free agents, making trades, but no one has filled that void. And now, with Jared Mayo stepping in as head coach and the front office signaling a shift in philosophy, this could be their chance to swing big. TYREEK Hill in New England wouldn't just be a talent upgrade, it would be a statement, a warning shot to the rest of the AFC. The Pats are done rebuilding. They're coming to win again. And let's be real, what better way to spark a new era than by stealing a star from a division rival? Belichick may be gone, but that chessboard mentality still lingers. You weaken your enemy and strengthen yourself in one move. That's classic Patriots DNA. Let's dive into the logistics, though. Hill's contract isn't small. He's sitting on one of the biggest deals for a wide receiver in NFL history. So how can New England even make this happen? Well, they've been clearing cap space, quietly, methodically, and there are whispers that they've been preparing for a major offensive acquisition. A few insiders have hinted that they're not just looking for help, they're looking for a face of the franchise. Someone dynamic enough to bring the spark back to Gillette Stadium. TYREEK Hill fits that bill perfectly. Sure, there would have to be restructures, maybe even some players shipped out in return, but if there's one thing we know about the Patriots, it's that when they want something, they find a way to get it, even if it means shaking the whole league in the process. And don't forget, TYREEK has history with the Patriots. He's torched them before. He's danced in the end zone at their expense, but imagine the narrative flipping. Imagine Hill going from public enemy number one to the centerpiece of their offense. The possibilities are insane. You put TYREEK's speed with a young, developing quarterback, maybe Drake May, maybe someone else, and suddenly you've got one of the most intriguing offenses in the league. You give Mayo and the Pats' offensive brain trust a toy like Hill, and they'll build something dangerous, and you know Hill wants to win. He's made that clear over and over. If he's starting to doubt Miami's trajectory, the Patriots could sell him on legacy, rings, revenge. A chance to rewrite his story with a team that knows how to win championships, of course. There are hurdles. There always are. The Dolphins would have to be willing to deal him, especially to a hated rival. That's no small ask. But if things have soured internally and we're hearing whispers that certain team meetings haven't gone well, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Miami might decide it's better to move on now, while Hill still has peak value, than to risk a blow-up mid-season. Plus, don't underestimate Hill's influence. He's a superstar. If he wants out, he'll find a way to make that known. And if the Patriots come calling with the right package, future picks, a player or two, Miami might just listen. After all, this is the NFL. Loyalty only lasts until the next headline. Now, from Hill's perspective, this move makes a weird kind of sense. He's conquered Kansas City. He's done big things in Miami. But New England, that's legacy territory. That's where dynasties are born. Hill might be looking at this as his chance to go from a highlight reel superstar to an all-time great, playing in the cold, under the lights. In high-stakes playoff games, that's where legends are made, and if he can be the guy who helps turn the Patriots around, that puts him in a different tier. That's Hall of Fame resume stuff. And don't think he hasn't thought about that. TYREEK's a competitor. He wants to matter on the biggest stage. And with this Patriots team itching for an identity, he might just be the spark they need. Still, we have to acknowledge the what-ifs. What if this is just noise? What if it's agent games, contract leverage, or off-season speculation gone wild? All valid points, but in today's NFL, where player movement is more common than ever, and where stars hold more power than ever before, nothing can be dismissed. And this rumor, it's got legs. Too many people are talking. Too many signs are pointing to something real. We're not saying it's definitely happening, but we are saying keep your eyes open. Because if Hill posts one more cryptic message, if New England starts making sudden cap moves, or if Miami insiders start getting quiet, that's when the real fireworks might start. So here's the bottom line. TYREEK Hill to the Patriots is still just a rumor, but it's a loud one. The kind of rumor that feels just crazy enough to be true. The kind that makes you refresh Twitter every 10 minutes. The kind that turns a regular off-season into headline chaos. And you know what? We live for this. Because in the NFL, the biggest stories often start with a whisper, and right now, that whisper is turning into a roar. If this goes down, it changes everything. The AFC East becomes a war zone, the Patriots become a contender, and TYREEK Hill, he becomes the story of the season. Stay tuned. Folks, this one's just getting started. And that's all we've got for now, but trust me, this is a developing situation. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button, because the moment anything breaks, we'll be back here with the full breakdown. TYREEK Hill in a Patriots jersey. It sounds wild, but in today's league, wild is just another Tuesday. I'm watching it closely. You should be too. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.